Hello there, my name is Chris Smith, and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up. I've got a quick little video for you today where I'm going to show how I do border cards and keep them relatively simple. This really doesn't include that much measuring, and that's why, and I think they give a nice effect, so it's a good thing to have in your little toolbox. So to start with, you're going to have a card and a few strips. Now I use skinny strips to finish off my cards. I'm going to show you how I get that. So if I'm cutting a piece, let's see, I just want to cut them 1 to 2 lines here. One little line is a 16th, 2 little lines in the inch category is an 1/8. Probably better to start off with 1/8 inch pieces when you're getting started because they're a little easier to handle, but then you might decide that some of your work would look more to your liking if you use smaller pieces. So just do whatever is easy to work for yourself. So that's one of the things you'll need is a trimmer, and I will cut several pieces and I'll use them along. And another thing I do is when I'm cutting a piece of cardstock, to get those pieces, I'm backing up a little bit here. I may go, so 5.5 is what you're gonna cut if you're using the American size cardstock, is what you're gonna give you 2 cards out of a piece. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to get 1 card and 2 quarter sheets to use for finishing up the card. So I want those quarter sheets to be just a smidgen on the larger side. So I'll go just a tad bit past the 5.5. That leaves the card that's going to be my card base just a tad bit under. But that way, once you fold your card, I'll set these out. Oops, I got one of my other tools stuck there. I know that this piece, which is my layered piece, is going to be plenty big. So just something you might keep in mind. You always want your strips to be a little bit longer, if anything, because they're easier to trim off than to trim your whole card. Okay, we're going to start off with this owl card. This is a very simple card. It's one that I brought with at the recent leadership gathering to do as a swap. I like to use the Tombow liquid glue. It's fast. It gives you a little time to move your paper. And I'm just going to push it just to one edge. And this is going to go over a bit. I trimmed it, but not totally. And it's really close. And I can trim off anything that goes over. Then I'm going to put a border piece on. This is cut approximately 1/8 of an inch. And what I'm going to do here is use strips. I've used this for a long time. This one's a little bit wide here, but I'm going to cut it in half. Just save some of your scraps. That will work well here. And in case, I'm just going to put a tiny dot in here and spread it around. And that's the rest of my strip doesn't have glue on it, but I'm just going to get it in the right place. Slide it over there. And then I'm going to use this piece just slide a little glue under there, get it to stick, slide some on the other side, get that to stick, and you've got it all glued together. I can trim a little bit extra off, and you don't have much glue on your fingers, and your small piece is sticking well. I am going to finish this off with one of the owls from Winter Owls. This is one that you cut it with 3 dies, one for each of the fancy part of the wing and one for the owl. I've already put that together. We can talk about that more in another video. But I'm just going to glue down the center. If I wanted to glue down the leaves, or I've got a leaf card coming up, so that's why leaves are on my mind. But if I wanted to glue down that detailed feathery part, I could just come back with that strip with a little bit of glue on it and add as much as I like to get that down. But I kind of like this guy to have his wings free to show like that. Anyway, really quick card. I think these owls are really so versatile because while you think of a winter owl as being white, you can do them in any color and use them in all seasons. I even have an idea that they might make a good Halloween project. So that's that card. And I'm also going to show you one more with the leaves. Now this is going to use a smaller piece of the paper. In fact, I'll bring out the one I've already done. This I created a while back, and it just uses a thin strip of DSP, and you could use stamp paper or anything, but I'm going to start with that. It is about 1 1/8 inches. It doesn't really matter when you're doing these strips, so you don't need exact measurements. Use what you have, but that's where we're going to start with. We're going to glue this inch. The one thing that's hard with this paper is that you will have, let's see, I want this one at the bottom. I'm going for some of the darker pieces. And once you get past putting glue on that pretty metallic edge, you'll be good. So, on my first card I used the wood grain, but this a variation I decided I'm going to use the falling leaves die. So, and this is the other piece that I wanted to show you with these cards. When you're doing another layer, you want to make sure you get up to the edges and get kind of a nice finish on there. I'm going to trim off anything that's excess. Like, since our cards are 5.5 inches high and DSP is 6, usually I always have a nice little extra there. But to make this have a really nice finished effect, I'm going to take my bone folder and just curve that edge down on all the open sides. And if you want to, you can go back and use that glue idea to better attach any areas you didn't get the first time. So I'm going to just double check on those. That way we've got a really, really nice finish all the way around. I didn't push down this side because I'm going to add a little bit of extra trim here. Now, this is something I cut with the basic border die, and I've been using this one quite a bit lately. It's this little zigzag piece, and I like it because it works on both masculine and feminine style cards, and it also gives you 2 pieces when you cut it. So I'm going to use this one, but I'll be able to get another piece off of here for another project. So once again, I'm going to just put a little bit of glue in the middle, not too thick. Going to get it in its place, knowing I can trim off any extra. And then I'll come back and add just a little more glue where it's needed, and pretty much keep it off my fingers. So that's actually a very nice finish, but I want to go one step further, and I cut an extra skinny strip off of the back of my leaves. So I'm going to once again put a little tiny bit in the middle to hold it in place. As I finalize the placement, I'm going to put it right over that. I got a little bit coming out there. That happens when the pieces are pretty skinny. But once I have that in place, I'm going to come back with my strip, add a little bit, and get that final placement down there. Now, as you get comfortable with using your glue and how fine you can get it, you may feel better putting more on the back before you tap it down. But this just kind of works for everybody as you're used to your glue gun, your glue bottle. And sometimes, depending on you store it, it's just going to come out in thick globs no matter what you try. So that's an easy one to do. I stuck with oak leaves on this, and I'll just tell you how I finished this version. I sponged a little bit of Pebbled Path, which is the zigzag paper color, around the edge of the leaves, and I added a small greeting that comes with that same autumn leaf set. The paper has been unorderable last week when the mini catalog went live, but it is scheduled to come in sometime this week, and it is beautiful paper. You get foiled side and many beautiful photographs on the other side. The dots recently also became unavailable, but I think they're due to come back in later this month, maybe the week of the 25th or so. The paper is scheduled for the week of the 11th, which is today. So that shows those two cards. I'm going to show you one more, because if you look back over a lot of my other cards, you will see that I use this border a lot. Here's another one. That sweater print is in that same All About Autumn set of DSP, and same leaves. These are off of the In Color pack, the Pebbled Path dots. But that's something you can use over and over with many, many cards, and you don't have to measure that much. Well, that's it for now. I will remind you that if you are placing any orders or need a demonstrator, feel free to go to chrissmith.net, stampinup.net, and I have a host code, which is 9AF9Q329N if you wish to use so. Otherwise, happy stamping. Talk to you later.